Brittany, 7,000 years ago, where the ocean meets the land, where the waves crash against ancient rocks, in the stone tomb of Teviec lies a woman. Shells of mollusks surround her skull. A deer antler rests by her hand. Red ochre stains the bones. Time has erased her name. The sea has taken her voice. But blood remembers. Her body lay in darkness for 70 millennia until the time came to reveal the secret. When her DNA was extracted from the bones, the truth emerged. She was from the people of the glacier shelters, from those who survived the time of ice. Her blood flows in the French today. A faint trace, but an indelible one. Who was she? And why did her people disappear? France, a country that birthed empires, revolutions, the Declaration of the Rights of Man, and the philosophy of the Enlightenment. But there is a mystery that history textbooks remain silent about. The mystery of blood. For decades, geneticists struggled to understand the riddle of the French people. Their DNA contains a unique blend of lineages that cannot be found elsewhere in such proportions. The Spanish are different, the Italians are different, the Germans are quite different. And the French? A study of 100 ancient genomes revealed a truth hidden for millennia. 3 waves, 3 peoples, 3 bloods merged into one. Western European hunters from the banks of glacial rivers, Anatolian farmers with grain and clay, steppe riders with bronze blades. But how did they meet? And what happened when their worlds collided? 45,000 years before our era. Ice. Giant glaciers cover Europe. The thickness of ice is kilometers. Temperatures plummet. Mammoths roam the frozen plains. Humanity retreats. But in the southwest of the continent, there is salvation. The Franco-Cantabrian Refugium, a sanctuary between the Pyrenees and the Atlantic. Here the climate is milder. Here there are caves, Lascaux, Chauvet, walls adorned with bison, horses, mammoths, drawings made with charcoal and ochre, art born in darkness. Here humanity hides. Their patrilineal line is I2A. Maternal lines are U5 and U4, the oldest European haplogroups born in the ice of the Paleolithic. Dark skin, eyes as blue as glacial water, black hair. They make spears with flint tips. They sew clothes from reindeer hides. They draw gods on the walls. 15,000 years before our era, the glaciers retreat. The earth comes alive. Hunters emerge from their shelters. The first blood of France. But for how long? 7,000 years before our era. Forests cover France, oaks, beeches, hazelnut trees to the very horizon. Hunter-gatherers move in pursuit of herds. Their world consists of seasonal trails, river crossings, sacred caves of ancestors. Their blood is the line of Western European hunters, the last echo of the people of the glaciers. They know the language of the forest, where the bear leaves marks on the bark of trees, where the boar roots in the ground in search of roots. When salmon ascend the rivers to spawn, their tools are made of stone, bone, and wood. Their knowledge is passed down unchanged for thousands of years. Stability, balance, eternity. But one day, others come from the south, with clay pots, with grain in sacks, with herds on ropes. The hunters do not know that their world has come to an end, that their people will be erased. 6,000 years before our era. Anatolia, the territory of modern-day Turkey. This is where agriculture was born. Wheat, barley, the first permanent villages of clay and stone. A revolution that changed humanity. And they moved westward. 2 paths across Europe. The cardial pottery culture, along the Mediterranean Sea. From bay to bay. It reached southern France by 5,600 years. The linear pottery culture. Through the Balkans. Through Central Europe. Through the valleys of rivers to the northeast. Their paternal lines are G2A, E1B1B, J2. Maternal lines are N1A, T2, K1, JT. Lighter skin than that of the hunters. Dark hair, brown eyes. They bring ceramics and stone axes. Villages that last for centuries. Fields sown with wheat. Southern France becomes a meeting place for two worlds. Here, hunters and farmers merge into a new people, the first new blood. But what happened to the hunters? 2,500 years before our era. The Paris Basin, a collective burial from the late Neolithic. Dozens of skeletons lie together. Families, children beside parents, bones laid with care. Geneticists read their DNA and discover the impossible. One man is physically absent. His body has vanished, but his genome exists, reconstructed through relatives, mother, father, children buried nearby, a ghost risen from data. This discovery marks the moment of the arrival of new blood in France. A steppe lineage, from the east, from the Pontic Caspian steppes. Mixing happens before our eyes, generation after generation. Local women, incoming men, new children with new DNA. A story recorded in the bones of one family. But who are these riders from the steppe? And why did their arrival change France forever? 3,000 years before our era, the Pontic Caspian steppe, the territory of modern Ukraine and southern Russia. Here a people is born that will change Europe forever. The Yamnaya culture, pastoralists, riders, warriors. For centuries, legend spoke of an invasion from the east, of riders who brought a new language, of conquerors who erased the old world. Historians debated, archaeologists doubted. Then came genetics. The legends turned out to be true. The Third Great Migration. Their paternal lines are R1b, M269, and R1a. Today, R1b dominates in France. Maternal lines are Haplogroup H. They bring the wheel and bronze. Domesticated horses. A language that becomes the ancestor of French. The culture of bell-shaped cups. By 2,300 years before our era, it reaches France. Light-skinned, light-haired. Eyes the color of the northern sky. Myths turned out to be the memory of DNA. But how did they conquer the continent? R1b M269 is not just a lineage. It is an empire of blood. Within it are three kingdoms, three branches that diverged across Europe. R1b S116, also known as P312, a Western European subclade. Peaks of frequency, northern Italy and southern France. Central regions of the country. R1b S21, or U106, a northwestern European subclade. Scandinavia, Germany, northern France. A wave fading southward. R1b S145, known as L21, an Atlantic subclade. Brittany, connections with the Celts through sea routes. Today, R1b is the foundation of French male heritage. But why such dominance? The culture of bell-shaped cups is a story of men. They came. They married local women. Y chromosome steppe. Mitochondrial DNA local. Conquest not by sword, by marriage, by children. But what happened to the hunter men? Why did their lines nearly disappear? Gaul. This is what the Romans called France 2,000 years ago. Celts. Druids in white robes, warriors with long swords, sacred oak groves. Historians spoke of a great Celtic invasion from Central Europe, of tribes pouring westward, settling lands from the Alps to the Atlantic. But genetics tells a different story. Y chromosome studies find no trace of mass migration, no genetic invasion from the center of the continent. The Celts did not come in hordes. They spread as an idea, as a language, as a way of seeing the world. Atlantic Europe, Ireland, Wales, Brittany shows local blood, but brought culture. Celts are not a people. They are a memory, words, music, patterns on stones and metal. Celtic identity lives not in genes, in traditions, in languages that still resonate on the coasts. But if the Celts did not conquer France genetically, who then created the modern French? Haplogroup H, the maternal line coursing through the veins of every second French person. More than 40% of the population carries its signature in their mitochondrial DNA. But where does it come from? An astonishing truth has been uncovered recently. Among early Neolithic farmers, H was rare, only 19%. Among Mesolithic hunters, it was nearly absent. Its modern diversity was established by the Middle Neolithic, around 4,000 years before our era. But the real explosion occurred later, after the arrival of the steppe riders. Subhaplogroups H1 and H3 exhibit peak frequencies in Iberia and southern France. They came from the east, perhaps from the steppe, perhaps from Anatolia. No one knows for sure. But H conquered Europe as swiftly as R1b dominated paternal lines, the maternal line of the empire. Steppe women gave Europe new blood. Their daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters spread across the continent. Today, their trace is in every second French woman. But why did H prevail? What gave it the advantage? It was thought that Neolithic farmers displaced hunters. Archaeology showed disappearance. Settlements of farmers appeared everywhere. Hunter camps emptied. History is written by the victors. But DNA told a different truth. Haplogroups I2A and I1A, Paleolithic European lines, have survived. I2A is linked to Western European hunter-gatherers. Mesolithic, the people of the forest and river. I1A is a Northern European line. Microsatellite diversity indicates France could have been the source of its early expansion. Hunters did not disappear. They dissolved. They mixed. They adapted to the new world. Southern France displayed the most intense mixing. Here, farmers and hunters became one people. Today, from 10 to 20% of the modern French genome is from Western European hunter-gatherers, the memory of the Ice Age, an echo of ancient forests. But who controlled this mixing? And was it peaceful? 58 years before our era, Julius Caesar crosses the Alps. His legions enter Gaul. 8 years of war. 1 million dead Gauls. 1 million sold into slavery. Gaul becomes a province of Rome. 400 years of Roman rule. Roads cutting through the land. Aqueducts, amphitheaters, Latin on the lips of the conquered. The empire changes everything: language, religion, architecture. But the genetic trace? Minimal. Studies show Roman occupation did not change French blood. The Romans ruled, traded, built, but did not migrate en masse. Some Mediterranean lines permeated through trade routes, but like drops in the ocean. Rome brought culture. Latin became French. Christianity came with the legions. But genetically, France remained itself. Most genetic components were established before Rome, before Caesar, before the eagles of the legions. Why did an empire that ruled for 4 centuries leave so little trace in the blood? Modern France is not a monolith. A study of 2 independent cohorts revealed a secret. 6 distinct genetic clusters. 6 peoples within one nation. They correspond to geography, historical borders, linguistic divisions. Barriers of gene flow run along rivers, over mountain ranges, the Loire, the Rhône, the Pyrenees, the Alps. Brittany is genetically distinctive. The connection with Northern Ireland and Scotland is stronger than with the rest of France. The sea unites more than land divides. Vendée in the northwest. Differentiation increases with every kilometer. The French Basques, an isolated population. Less steppe influence. A unique lineage preserved by the Pyrenees. Alsace-Lorraine in the east. German genetic influence. A history of borders changing hands. Language and geography created islands within the continent. France is politically united, but genetically, an archipelago. Each region holds its share of 3 ancient bloods, but in different proportions, in different combinations. What does this mean for modern identity? 476 years after our era, Rome falls. An empire of 1,000 years collapses in a single generation. The eagles of the legions drowned in Germanic blood. Borders evaporate. And they came. The Franks. From the forests beyond the Rhine. Long-haired warriors with battle axes. They took the north. The Merovingians crowned on the bones of Gaul. Then the Carolingians. Charlemagne will gather the fragments into a new empire. The Burgundians took the east. Valleys of vineyards, castles on hills. The Visigoths, Aquitaine. The south to the Pyrenees. The genetic trace of the Germans is evident in northern regions, but does not change the foundation. 911. Viking longships in the mouth of the Seine. A Scandinavian chief receives lands from the king. Normandy is born from a treaty. Germans and Normans ruled for centuries. But French blood remained ancient. Steppe, Neolithic, Paleolithic. Why did the conquerors dissolve into the conquered rather than the other way around? Modern French people carry 3 ancient worlds in every cell, from 50 to 60%. The steppe, riders with bronze blades, from 20 to 30. Anatolia, farmers with clay pots, from 10 to 20. Glacial hunters, the oldest blood of Europe. Average figures, but the reality is more complex. The north of the country carries more steppe. The south, more Anatolia. The west retains the echo of hunters more strongly. Why have the differences persisted? Rivers, mountains, dialects, provinces living for centuries as separate worlds. 3 peoples met on the lands of France, mixed, but did not completely dissolve into each other. France is united outwardly, but inside, a mosaic of ancient bloods. Which specific paternal and maternal lines survived the millennia? Paris, Marseille, Lyon, Toulouse? Millions of French people do not know that they are living museums. Each carries a collection of ancient artifacts in their genes, not in display cases, in cells. A man from Brittany may carry I2A, the line of hunters 7,000 years ago. A woman from Provence, U5, the maternal signature of the Ice Age. A Parisian, R1B S116, the paternal line of steppe riders. Each family, a unique combination of ancient worlds. Modern French people are not just descendants of 3 peoples. They are the last link in an unbroken chain stretching 15,000 years. From glacial caves to skyscrapers. From stone spears to nuclear reactors. From mammoth hunters to Airbus engineers. The blood remains the same. The world has changed. But French DNA is connected not only to the past. It reaches to living nations across the seas. The French have always seen themselves as Europeans. Their world, Western Europe, Spain, Italy, Germany. Genetics has confirmed this. But it has uncovered bridges to places where they were least expected. Turkey. Haplogroups J2 and E1B1B directly connect the French to Anatolia. Not through Rome, not through medieval trade, through Neolithic farmers 6,000 years ago. A genetic thread runs from Paris to Istanbul. The Levant. Maternal lines J and T carry a Near Eastern signature. The Fertile Crescent left a mark in modern France. Northern Italy. Common R1B S116 with southern France. The Alps did not divide. They united. Iberia. H1 flows on both sides of the Pyrenees. Scientists have mapped the connections. The threads stretch across seas and mountains to peoples the French considered foreign. But could this genetic legacy survive the catastrophes of the 20th century? 1914. War. Verdun. Trenches soaked in blood. 1 million French in the ground. 1939. Again. Occupation. A swastika above the Eiffel Tower. 600,000 dead. 2 world fires in 30 years. France was drained of blood twice. The genetic trace? Minimal. Wars kill bodies. But do not change the blood of a people across 3 generations. R1b flows, Haplogroup H lives. 3 ancient components endure. The 21st century. Globalization, new migrations, Africa, Asia, the Middle East. New lines weave into the old fabric. But the ancient code dominates. The regional structure holds. The French have survived glaciers and empires, revolutions and genocides. Their blood has proved stronger than bronze and steel. But this blood carries not only history, it carries the price of survival. Haplogroups are not just the past, they are the present. Mitochondrial lines affect health. Geneticists have found this while studying hospital patients. Haplogroup H provides an advantage against sepsis. Carriers survive more often after severe infections. T, U, J are associated with other indicators: metabolism, stress resistance, cell function. These are not diseases. This is the price of survival. When populations were small and isolated, certain mutations became fixed. By chance. Not because they were beneficial, because there was no choice. The trace of ancient isolations lives on in modern French people. In every cell, in every mitochondrion, the memory of how ancestors paid for life. What mutations they carried through the centuries. This is not weakness. This is evidence that they survived when others disappeared. But what does this blood mean for modern France? France, the land of the Eiffel Tower, revolution, enlightenment. But beneath this lies a more ancient truth: blood. In every French person flows the memory of 3 worlds: glacial hunters, I2A, U5, U4, drawing mammoths when Europe was freezing; Anatolian farmers, G2A, E1B1B, J2, N1A, T2, K1, bringing wheat and permanent villages; steppe riders, R1B, M269, R1A, H, conquering the continent in bronze chariots; 3 peoples, 15,000 years of history. They survived glaciers and famine, empires and plague, wars and genocides, and did not disappear. Their DNA flows today, from Siberia to the Atlantic, from Anatolia to Brittany, from the Ukrainian steppes to Burgundy vineyards. France is a living memory of the planet, a history recorded not in books, in cells, in the blood that cannot be erased.